Thank you for joining me. I've got another of Lou Miaoyi's games for you. This one played with this gentleman here, Vishal Choudary. He is of India. Vishal was born in 2006, and he is a arena grandmaster, which I'm not sure exactly what arena grandmaster is. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the game. Lou Miaoyi begins with pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5 by Vishal, and now knight to f3. This is one of the most solid openings you can play in chess, and played hundreds of thousands of times by grandmasters. Now we have pawn to g6. And this becomes the hyper-accelerated dragon variation of the Sicilian, which I love this because dragon, yeah, it's a dragon variation. That's the only really reason. So this isn't really played a lot in master play. There's only like 1,700 games, which is, after going from hundreds of thousands to 1,700, it's not really played that much anymore. And perhaps we will see why. We now have pawn to c3 by Lou Miaoyi, and of course bishop to g7 here. This is the dragon variation. Now pawn to d4, that was the whole point of playing the preparatory move. Pawn to c3, pawn captures on d4, as you normally do with that c5 pawn in the Sicilian, and now c captures back, and Lou Miaoyi has a nice strong center here. And now the best thing you can do is really just strike out at the center with something like pawn to d5 as played by Vishal. And now Lou Miaoyi just goes ahead and plays pawn to e5. And this has all been played many times in master play, hundreds of times at this point. And now bishop to f4 by Vishal. Lou Miaoyi plays the best move in the position, bishop to b5 check. And Vishal kind of messes up a little bit here. He plays knight to c6 here, which is not the best way to play because, as we'll see, he's going to end up with a backwards pawn, which is a weakness. Instead, he should have moved to d7. This is just the best way to play this, but we'll continue. And now Lou Miaoyi does capture the knight, and we see, so bishop captures on c6, and then pawn captures on c6. And now we do see that backward pawn. So that pawn is a weakness. It can't really move forward. It doesn't have any friends protecting it. That can be a problem. And that's why he should have played differently here. Lou Miaoyi actually castles here. That makes it a new master game. None of the masters castled. Instead, knight to d2, so I should say knight b to d2 is the strongest move. It was played by 8 of the masters. One of the games, pawn to h3 was played. But as far as master play, as soon as Lou Miaoyi castled here, this had not been played before, although there are games in existence. We now have knight to h6 here by Vishal, and this is the most popular move in the position by submasters. And now pawn to h3 by Lou Miaoyi, and this is not the best move in the position. She should have instead played knight to d2 here. This would have been a better way to play. And you'd end up with this situation here where black still has his bishop, pick up that hanging pawn, and white definitely has control of the position, but the way Lou Miaoyi plays ends up working out anyway, as we will see. Let's get back to that now. So instead, Lou Miaoyi plays pawn to h3. Vishal plays the best move in the position, just capturing the knight now. We have queen captures on f3. And now the best move in the position by Vishal, knight to f5, going after the backward pawn that Lou Miaoyi has. So both players have these pawn weaknesses, backward pawns. They don't have any buddies behind them that can defend them, and they can't move forward, so they're kind of targets, weaknesses. Best possible move in the position for Lou Miaoyi. Rook now to d1, and now queen to b6 by Vishal, queen to d3 by Lou Miaoyi, and now pawn to e6 by black. Knight develops to c3 by Lou Miaoyi, and now pawn to h5 by Vishal. Lou Miaoyi plays the strongest move in the position here. She plays pawn to g4, and now Vishal repositions the knight to e7, and Lou Miaoyi again plays the strongest move in the position, just knight to a4, attacking the queen and just further restricting Vishal's movement. Vishal goes for queen to b4 here, and Lu Maoyi plays the strongest move, pawn to b3. We have pawn to h5 by Vishal, which is a strong move, just looking to tear things open over there, maybe activate his rook. And Lu Maoyi plays the strongest move of the position, finally connecting her rooks and attacking the queen with one sweet move, bishop to d2. And now the queen must move back, offering a queen trade. Trade is fine here, just playing queen back to b5. Queen all the way back to b8 may have been better, but this was an okay move. Lu Maoyi now plays bishop to g5. And this was not necessarily the best move in the position. Better to move the queen to f3 instead. And you would end up with this position here where black is really struggling to coordinate their pieces. This knight has a fantastic outpost. And, white is completely dominant in the position. But as we will see, Lu Maoyi finds a way to make her move work, well, even better than the way this position turns out. Vishal now moves his knight back to g7, which, is really about all you can do in the position. He's trying to activate that knight. Rook now a to c1 by Lu Maoyi. And now pawn captures on g4 by Vishal. Lu Maoyi captures back. H captures on g4. And now bishop to h6 by Vishal. Better might have been just to go ahead and trade queens and pray for a draw. But we'll go ahead and continue. Bishop captures. Bishop on h6 by Lu Maoyi. And now Vishal does activate that knight. Knight captures on h6, attacking the pawn. And Lu Maoyi plays pawn to f3. Again, Stockfish prefers bishop or queen instead, defends the pawn, queen to f3. But we'll continue here. Queen back now to b7 by Vishal. And now king to g2, the best move in the position as judged by the engine. And now the best move by Vishal, king to f8. Again, the engine says this is the best move. Rook now to h1 by Lu Maoyi. And now king to g7. This is as good as you really can do in the position. Nothing wrong with that. Queen back to d2 by Lu Maoyi. And now queen to e7. And this was not the best way to play here. Instead of playing queen to e7, Vishal should have played rook to h7, and he would have had a better fighting chance. The variation ends up looking like this. It's kind of a long variation, but Vishal would end up in a position where both his rooks are on the h-file like this. The knight, I guess, is going to have to reposition out in front. There's really not a lot of space for it to go. And yeah, this is the better way that things could have turned out for Vishal. Anyway, Vishal plays queen to e7, and now Lu Maoyi plays rook to h3, looking to double her rooks on the h-file perhaps. And now we have pawn to g4 by Vishal. This is a mistake, and he's like totally losing the position now. As we saw, he should have doubled his rooks here. This just weakens his position. Lu Maoyi pounces right away with the strongest move in the position. Rook to h5, and the end is near. There's not a lot that can be done to defend this position, but Vishal plays the strongest available to him, king to g6. Lu Maoyi now captures that long, weak backward pawn on c6. And now Vishal plays one of the strongest moves in the position, just pawn to f6, although it is recommended that maybe capturing the pawn on g4, amazingly, might be a better way to go. Now Lu Maoyi does get a fantastic outpost for her knight on c5, and that's the strongest move in the position. Vishal positions his a-file rook to f8 here, and this is really as good as he can do. And now Lu Maoyi grabs the pawn, of course, on e6, as the knight and the rook are both attacking, forcing the queen to reposition. Vishal actually plays queen to d8 here, which is a mistake. He should have captured the rook, sacrificing his queen, of course. So just trade the queen for the rook, and the game would have went on. He could have maybe survived for a while, although in a very cramped position. but instead he moves his queen back, and this is actually a forced mate in 5 as the rook and the queen join up to attack the g5 square. So queen captures on g5, and Vishal does resign the game. He does see that he's got a mate in 5 going, and yeah, so he resigns this game. But let's take a look real quick at that actual checkmate. So the king has to go to f7 here. We would have rook captures on f6 by white. Queen is forced to capture back. Queen captures back again on f6 by white. The king is forced down to e8. Queen to e6 check. King forced over to d8, where that fantastic knight supports for checkmate on d7 by the queen. So this is the mate that both of them clearly saw. So black did resign the game. Vishal did resign the game here after queen captures on g5. Anyway, that's the game. Thank you for joining me for that. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. I will be doing game reviews every day. I'm also working on some shorts for tactics. I would definitely like your feedback on that, so please let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.